So the War Within has now officially launched, and that means we have to go over another AoE mob grinding location that'll be able to make you a ridiculous amount of gold, and this may be the strongest location that's been found so far. And like my previous AoE farming locations, the AoE farms of the War Within are primarily based around having tailoring and inscription to allow you to actually get cloth drops, to massively increase those cloth drops, get other cloths, and to get higher quality cloth drops, and then to also have inscription, which will allow you to get the Dark Moon card drops, which if you get the full set and combine them, that turns into one of the 577 Dark Moon Fair trinkets, which are usually pretty heavily used at the start of every expansion. Now that is where a majority of your gold is going to be coming from for these farms, but you will still be getting random gray items, random gray gear, and just random amounts of gold, so you still be getting a good chunk of just raw gold, and then you'll also be getting a good amount of green BOE drops. You can also very rarely get blue BOE drops. Those blues are usually like 560 item level plus. I think they usually do drop as level 80 items, so you can just sell those for gold. And the best thing to do with the greens is usually to disenchant them. Now you'll probably want an enchanter that has gone fully into green disenchanting or uncommon disenchanting, because the enchanting mats are ridiculously expensive right now, and specializing into that disenchanting will actually give you more of those, so that can be a ton of additional gold. If you don't have an enchanter, you can actually just sell the greens on the auction house. Those will be server specific, but a lot of those will still sell pretty quickly. And this farm spot is going to be located in the Ringing Deeps, and pretty much all you're going to be doing in this farm spot is grouping up all of these kobolds and AoEing them down. And one of the reasons this location may be the best so far is because a lot of these kobolds spawn in bigger packs of say 3 or 4, and besides that just being a lot more enemies to AoE down, a lot of these kobolds are also minions, so they have the different health bar look, and that generally means they're a lot weaker and have a lot less health. And any of these AoE farming spots have hyper spawning, so if you can get a lot of super weak enemies you can kill very quickly, that'll just cause more enemies to spawn more quickly. The faster you can kill hyper spawning enemies, the faster they're going to respawn, just giving you a lot of additional loot in general. And I'm going to try to go through these quickly so the video isn't super long, and if your profession isn't progressed to this point, just keep following this as you get more specialization points and as you continue to level up your profession. Now, one of the really important parts of tailoring is getting the profession itself to level 60 so you can have 3 specializations unlocked. Now, starting off, we're going into quality fabric. We're going to want to be putting 30 points into this. The main things that this does is at 15 points, cloths from humanoids can be quality 2, and at 30, cloth from humanoids can be quality 3, which will just give you massively increased gold getting the higher quality cloths. And then at level 50, you're going to be going into from dawn until dusk, and just unlocking this, you'll get a sub-specialization where you're either taking dawn weaving or dusk weaving, because taking either of these will just allow enemies to drop either of these cloths. So either dawn weave or dusk weave, they seem to be similar-ish prices, so I don't think it's going to matter that much which one you take. And you don't actually need to be putting any of your points into these to just get additional cloth drops, and since we already have quality fabric, they can all drop at the higher qualities. Then finally, you're going into textile treasures. Is it just from unlocking it, you can now get weaver cloth bolts, and then as you continue to put points in, it just increases the chance to get cloth from enemies. So 5%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 25%. You're going to be putting all your points into this until you have it maxed out at 30 points, and then if you're past that point, you can go back to from dusk until dawn, and you can put points into here until you can also unlock the other sub-specialization you didn't take, so dusk weave or dawn weave. Now, inscription is a bit more simple. You're pretty much only going to need level 25, and the main reason we're taking inscription is because you can start to get Dark Moon card drops, which if you get the full set, you turn it into a BOE trinket that you can sell on the auction house for a decent bit of gold depending on your server. So we're going to be going into archival editions, which just unlocking this will allow us to unlock a sub-specialization. We're going into cryptic collection. The primary reason for that being is this also lets us go into another sub-specialization, and any of these 4 sub-specializations, these Dark Moon sigils, will give you an increased chance to find Dark Moon cards by 50% if you get 15 points into them. So you go choose one, put 15 points into it, then you go back to cryptic collection, put 10 points in there, so you get another sub-specialization Specialization, you get another one of the Dark Moon sigils, 15 points into it, that's another 50%. Then you go back to Cryptic Collection, another 10 points if you have those points. Then that gives you another sub-specialization. So then you would get the third Dark Moon sigil, 15 points into that, another 50%. Now I only have one of these for a 50% increase, and I get quite a lot of Dark Moon cards. So if you have a lot more points and you're getting 2, maybe even 3 of these, you'll be finding an ungodly amount of Dark Moon cards, which is just going to increase the overall gold you're getting. You're just getting more drops for the same exact thing. And if you're planning on doing any of these AoE farming locations, I would definitely recommend jumping on them pretty quickly, because a lot of these spots are being nerfed. Pretty much every modern WoW expansion, when one of these locations are found, you will usually have a day or a couple days before they get nerfed. Some of them get nerfed and are still usable, and some of them get nerfed and just don't have hyper spawning anymore, so they're completely dead locations. So you definitely have to jump on a lot of these farming spots pretty early on to be able to actually make use of them. And this is definitely one of the best ones, and with the expansion finally being officially released, you can definitely make a bit more gold right now, as the prices have fluctuated a ton because of all the new players. So I definitely recommend jumping on this spot and at least farming it for a few hours, because you'll make a ridiculous amount of gold in that time. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.